Most men think attraction is something they can talk their way into. They believe if they just say the right words, if they explain how good of a guy they are, or if they prove their loyalty long enough, a woman will fall for them. But that's not how women are wired. Attraction is not logical, it's psychological. It bypasses reasoning, it bypasses explanation, and it cuts straight into emotion. You can't negotiate your way into her heart, and you can't beg your way into her mind. What you can do is understand the triggers that spark something deeper inside her, and that's where real obsession begins. When you study male and female dynamics, one truth stands out. Women don't respond to what makes sense, they respond to what they feel. A man might think listing out his achievements or showering her with attention will win her over, but the harder he tries to convince, the less she feels. Why? Because desperation is not attractive. The moment a man tries to talk her into attraction, she knows instinctively that he's chasing her approval instead of standing firm in his own frame. And no woman becomes obsessed with a man who is begging for her validation. Think about it. The men women go crazy over are rarely the ones explaining themselves or trying to prove they're worthy. Instead, they are the men who create a presence. They have an energy about them that makes her lean in, makes her wonder, makes her question why she feels drawn in ways she can't explain. That's because psychology works on a deeper level than logic. The man who understands this doesn't play checkers. He plays chess. He knows that attraction is about sparking emotion, not proving facts. The psychology of obsession is rooted in uncertainty, challenge, and the thrill of earning a man's attention. When you give it all away up front, constant texting, endless compliments, bending over backwards for her approval, you eliminate the mystery. There's no chase. There's no depth, and soon enough there's no desire. But when you hold back, when you leave space for her to wonder, when you stand firm in your self-respect, her mind starts to race. She starts thinking about you when you're not around. She starts craving your presence because you've created this psychological gap where her emotions can grow. This is why the men who are calm, composed, and grounded in themselves are always more magnetic than the men who are loud, needy, or overly available. The grounded man doesn't try to convince. He simply is. His confidence is not in what he says, but in how he carries himself. And that confidence activates her psychology. It makes her ask herself, what is it about him? It makes her replay moments in her head, wondering if she measured up to his standard. That loop in her mind is the seed of obsession. So if you want to truly make a woman obsessed with you, stop trying to sell yourself like a product. Stop explaining. Stop begging for attention. Instead, understand that attraction lives in her psychology, not in her logic. Trigger the right emotions, create the right environment, and she will chase what she can't fully understand. That's the power of psychology over persuasion. Every woman wants to feel like she can trust the man she's with to lead. Leadership is not about controlling or barking orders or being arrogant. True leadership is about decisiveness, certainty, and the ability to move forward with clarity even when things are uncertain. A man who hesitates, who second guesses himself, or who constantly asks her for direction signals weakness. And weakness kills attraction faster than almost anything else. When a woman feels like she has to guide the relationship, like she has to take the wheel because the man won't, she loses respect. And once respect is gone, obsession is impossible. You've probably seen it. Men who ask women where they want to go, what they want to do, what they think should happen next. On the surface, it looks like kindness, like being considerate. But in reality, it puts all the responsibility on her shoulders. She doesn't want to feel like she has to make all the choices. She wants to feel like the man she's with knows where he's going and is confident enough to take her with him. That doesn't mean ignoring her opinion. It means leading with direction while still respecting her input. The difference is subtle, but it makes all the difference in attraction. When a man is decisive, when he says, we're going here, or this is what I'm doing, it creates a sense of certainty that women are naturally drawn to. Certainty is masculine. Certainty is strength. And certainty allows her to relax into her feminine energy because she knows she's with a man who can handle the weight of leadership. It's not about ego, it's about responsibility. A man who leads shows her that he has vision, he has purpose, and he's not afraid to act. That kind of man doesn't need her permission to be himself. And because of that, she respects him more. You'll notice that women become obsessed with men who have a strong sense of direction in life. It's not just about making decisions in the relationship. It's about living with purpose. A man who is chasing his goals, who knows what he wants in his career, in his lifestyle, in his mission, automatically pulls women in. Why? Because he's not chasing her. He's inviting her to be part of something bigger than herself. And that's intoxicating. She doesn't just see a man, she sees a leader, someone who can elevate her life instead of draining it. The opposite is also true. A man who has no plan, no ambition, and no direction forces her to take control. She has to lead because he won't. And the moment she feels like she's the stronger one, the more decisive one, her attraction starts to fade. She might stick around out of comfort, but she will never become obsessed. Obsession comes from following a man she respects, not from guiding a man she pities. So if you want a woman to be obsessed with you, develop your ability to lead, make decisions with confidence, live with purpose, be the man who knows where he's going and invites her to come along for the ride. Because when you lead, she will follow, not out of obligation, but out of deep attraction. One of the deepest psychological triggers that fuels attraction and even obsession is scarcity. Human beings naturally desire what feels rare, what feels valuable, and what they cannot easily access. This principle applies to money, status, opportunity, and especially relationships. The man who makes himself too available, who constantly drops everything for a woman, who floods her with attention at all hours of the day, ends up losing his mystery. And once the mystery is gone, the obsession fades. The truth is simple. The less available you are, the more valuable your presence becomes. Think about the men who women chase relentlessly. They're not the ones who are constantly texting, constantly trying to prove themselves, constantly reminding her of their interests. No, those are the men she tolerates at best. The ones she obsesses over are the ones who seem just out of reach. The men who have lives of their own, who have goals and priorities beyond her, who leave her wondering when she will see them again. That gap between interaction and attention forces her to think about him more, not less. It creates anticipation, and anticipation builds excitement. The psychology behind this is powerful. When something is abundant, it loses value. If you can have something anytime you want, you stop craving it. That's why the man who gives endless attention and constant reassurance ends up being taken for granted. On the other hand, when something is scarce, when it's limited, it becomes precious. If your time and your energy are not available to every woman every moment of the day, then when you do give her your attention, it carries weight. She feels the difference. She knows that if you're giving her time, it means something. Scarcity also creates a natural form of competition. When a woman knows that you're not always accessible, she subconsciously realizes she's not the only thing you have going on in your life. This raises your value in her eyes because you're not dependent on her validation. You're not clinging to her as your only source of fulfillment. Instead, you're a man on a mission, a man with purpose, and she has to work to keep your attention. That shift in dynamic makes her invest more into you. And the more she invests, the more obsessed she becomes. But let's be clear, scarcity is not about playing childish games. It's not about ignoring her for days or trying to manipulate her emotions. That only creates frustration. Scarcity is about being authentically busy with your life, your mission, your goals. It's about having a schedule that matters and a vision that drives you. When she sees that she's not the center of your universe, but rather a valuable part of it, her respect for you skyrockets. That respect turns into desire. And that desire turns into obsession. So never make the mistake of overexposing yourself. Don't be the man who gives away his presence too easily. Instead, create scarcity by living a life worth living and allow her to earn your time. Because when she has to earn it, she'll value it. And when she values it, she'll never stop chasing it. There's a huge difference between giving a woman attention and earning her respect. Attention is easy. Any guy with a phone can send a good morning text, drop heart emojis on her photos, or blow up her inbox with compliments. But respect? That's something much rarer. Respect is built on strength, on boundaries, and on how you carry yourself as a man. And here's the truth. Women may enjoy attention, but they only become obsessed with the man they respect. If you give her endless attention without earning her respect, you're just entertainment, a distraction she can replace at any moment. Most men confuse the two. They believe if they shower her with love, gifts, constant texts, and non-stop praise, she'll eventually value them more. But what happens? She gets used to it. She expects it. She starts to feel like your entire existence revolves around her. And instead of making her feel drawn to you, it actually makes her pull away. Why? Because women are not wired to crave what comes too easily. Respect comes when she sees that you have standards, that you hold yourself to a higher level, and that you won't break those standards just because she's attractive. Think of it this way. If you give all your attention to a woman who hasn't proven she deserves it, you're telling her that her looks alone are enough to buy your time. And once she knows she doesn't need to bring anything more to the table, she stops investing. But when you flip the script, when you only give attention to women who meet your standards, you separate yourself from every other man in her life. Suddenly, your attention has weight because it's rare. And with rarity comes value. Respect also comes from consistency. You can't be firm in your standards one day and then abandon them the next because she flashes a smile or gives you a little affection. Women test men constantly, not because they're cruel, but because they want to feel the security of a man who won't fold. If you bend every time she pushes, she knows your strength is just an act. But if you stand tall, if you keep your frame no matter what, she starts to look at you differently. That strength, that backbone, makes her trust you, makes her admire you, and ultimately makes her obsessed with you. And let's not forget, women have more access to attention today than ever before. Social media gives them endless validation from men they don't even know, which means your attention alone is not special, but your respect, your willingness to only give energy to a woman who has earned it, that's what sets you apart. Because while attention is common, respect is rare, and women are obsessed with rare. So if you want her to crave you, don't compete by drowning her in attention like every other man. Compete by commanding respect. Show her through your actions, your standards, and your discipline that your time is valuable, because when she respects you, her desire won't fade. It will only grow stronger. Confidence is the backbone of male attraction. Without it, nothing else matters. You can have the looks, the money, the physique, but if you lack confidence, women will sense it immediately and they will lose interest just as quickly. Confidence is contagious. because it affects the energy you radiate. When you're confident, you walk differently, you speak differently, and you carry yourself with a presence that makes people notice. Women, especially, are wired to pick up on this. They feel it the moment you enter a room. And when that confidence is genuine, not forced, not faked, it becomes magnetic. It draws her in without you even having to try. But confidence is not about being loud or arrogant. In fact, arrogance often comes from insecurity. True confidence is quiet, it's calm, it's steady. It shows up when you don't need to prove anything to anyone. It's when you know who you are, what you stand for, and what you're capable of without the need to shout it out. That kind of grounded confidence is irresistible because it communicates strength without saying a word. Women don't obsess over men who are desperate to be noticed. They obsess over men who are so sure of themselves that they don't need attention to validate them. You've probably seen men who crumble under pressure. Maybe they get nervous around beautiful women, stumble over their words, or start overcompensating with jokes or fake bravado. What they're really showing is insecurity, and insecurity kills attraction. On the other hand, think about the man who stays calm in every situation. The man who isn't rattled by her mood swings, who doesn't flinch when she tests him, who doesn't overreact when things don't go his way. That man radiates certainty. And certainty makes women feel safe. When a woman feels safe with a man's energy, she can let go of control, she can relax, and she can fully invest in him. That's when obsession begins to grow. Confidence also communicates value. If you're confident in yourself, it tells her you see yourself as worthy. And when you see yourself as worthy, she starts to see you the same way. This is why women mirror the emotions of the men they're with. If you doubt yourself, she'll doubt you. If you believe in yourself, she'll believe in you. She doesn't just feel your confidence, she absorbs it. It becomes part of the dynamic between you. And the more she feels it, the more addicted she becomes to it. The best part is that confidence is built, not inherited. It comes from discipline, from keeping promises to yourself, from going after what you want in life and proving to yourself that you can achieve it. Every time you overcome fear, every time you stick to your word, every time you push through resistance, you add another layer to your confidence. And that growth doesn't just change how you see yourself, it changes how women see you. So if you want a woman to be obsessed with you, stop chasing validation and start building confidence. Because when you stand tall, when you radiate certainty, and when you show through your energy that you believe in yourself, she won't just notice you, she won't be able to forget you. One of the most powerful yet overlooked psychological triggers in attraction is boundaries. Most men think that by saying yes to everything, by always being available, by always pleasing a woman, they'll win her over. But the truth is the opposite. The man who has no boundaries gets taken for granted. The man who has no standards becomes invisible in her eyes. What women truly respect and what makes them obsessed is the man who knows where the line is and isn't afraid to enforce it. Boundaries are what separate men who are forgettable from men who are unforgettable. When you tell a woman no, when you stand firm in what you will and will not accept, you're sending a clear message you value yourself. And a man who values himself automatically becomes more valuable to her. Think about it. If you're willing to accept disrespect, constant flakiness, or bad behavior just to keep her around, you're showing her that you don't believe you deserve better. And if you don't believe you deserve better, why should she believe it? Women are drawn to men who command respect, not to men who allow themselves to be walked all over. Boundaries also create tension And tension is a powerful fuel for attraction. When you're not easy to win over, when you don't allow her to control the dynamic, when you make it clear that your life doesn't revolve around her moods, she becomes more invested. She starts to chase, she starts to adjust, and she starts to earn your approval. That's when obsession grows, because she knows your validation isn't free. She knows it comes with a cost. And that cost is respecting your standards. The man without boundaries gets short-term attention, but never long-term respect. At first, she might enjoy the unlimited attention, the constant yeses, the willingness to bend over backward. But soon, it starts to feel boring. There's no challenge, no strength, nothing for her to hold on to. But the man with strong boundaries, he's different. He's rare. He's the man who can walk away if the situation doesn't align with his standards. And paradoxically, that makes her want him even more. Because deep down, women crave the strength of a man who doesn't need them, but chooses them. Boundaries aren't about being rude or controlling. They're about knowing your worth and protecting it. It's about having non-negotiables, whether that's loyalty, respect, or how you spend your time, and not letting anyone cross them. A man who enforces his boundaries with calm confidence is a man women admire, respect, and obsess over. Why? Because boundaries signal strength. They show that you're not moved by external validation, that you're not desperate, and that you're not afraid of loss. That level of independence is intoxicating. So don't be the man who gives everything away just to keep a woman's attention. Be the man who knows his standards and enforces them without fear. Because when you stand firm, when you refuse to compromise your worth, she won't just respect you, she'll become addicted to you.